We have reported on this program on the fact that high-tech companies like Google are making San Francisco an almost uninhabitable city for anyone who is not a high-tech, highly paid worker of some kind. It is forcing out middle-class families from that wonderful city. It is making rents unaffordable. It is, in other words, really making life tough for ordinary people. One of the things making life even worse for ordinary people in San Francisco is the presence of Airbnb and the fact that it's being used to turn a number of private homes and private neighborhoods, private apartment buildings, residence apartment buildings, and so on, into de facto hotels where people are competing on the basis of the lowest price they can, but also that's squeezing the rental market out of existence so that people starting families, single people, people on fixed incomes, and so on, are being forced out of the city of San Francisco. In addition, we've reported on the fact that Google, for example, was using public bus stops for its private buses, and that was squeezing even publicly funded resources, making it harder for the taxpayers who fund those to use them, for the ordinary people who, whether they pay taxes or not, have a right to use the bus system, They've tried to work that one out, but my point is this. The tech industry, by and large, seems to be unaware of its effect on ordinary people, ordinary families in their lives, and it doesn't seem to care much. Now, the latest controversy in that whole area has to do with Airbnb. Airbnb ran a whole series of ads in San Francisco, and, let me read a few for you, and you can conclude for yourself. They were done in colorful, reddish, pinkish colors with white lettering on them, and they said things like this: "Dear Public Library System, we hope you use some of the $12 million in hotel taxes to keep the library open later. Love, Airbnb." In other words, Airbnb is trying to get big publicity out of the fact that it paid $12 million in hotel taxes in 1 year. Now, here's another one. "Dear Public Works, please use the $12 million in hotel taxes to build more bike lanes like this one. Love, Airbnb." Let's hear another couple. "Dear Board of Education, please use some of the $12 million in hotel taxes to keep art in schools." Now, there are more, but they thought they were being cute, but it just shows how detached they are from reality. Now, here's a great letter that someone wrote back. Martha Kenny, who lives in San Francisco, she posted this on Facebook. "Dear Airbnb, I'm happy that you paid your taxes this year. I did too. Isn't it awesome? However, I've crunched some numbers and I have some bad news for you. Out of your $12 million of hotel tax, only 1.4% goes to the San Francisco Public Libraries. That's $168,000. Divided by the 868 library staff, we have $193 per person. And then she goes on to say, this is 78 cents per employee per day. Since that's significantly under San Francisco minimum wage, I doubt that your hotel tax can keep the libraries open more than a minute or two later. Martha Kenny goes on to say, however, had you donated $8 million, the $8 million that you spent fighting Proposition F directly to the public libraries you love so much, that could have made a bigger difference. Oh well, hindsight is 2020. Love, Martha Kenny. Now, the point is this. Airbnb spends all its money and all its time and all its effort trying to avoid paying taxes. In fact, this was the first year that Airbnb paid hotel taxes at all. In fact, that's the business model of tech companies. Try to get out of public regulation, try to get out of public taxation, then undercut and work around the organizations that do those things, taxis in the case of Uber, or hotels in the case of Airbnb, underprice them, and then get a monopoly on the market. Then you can do pretty much whatever you want. Meanwhile, public resources suffer, and the public suffers as well. Now, Airbnb's impact on the rental industry or the rental market in San Francisco is very, very significant, because what happens is that even if you have San Francisco has a very low percentage of available rental units, so even a couple thousand being dedicated to Airbnb really hurts the market in that country a great deal, in that city a great deal. So, okay, Airbnb has acknowledged that it ran these ads. It's kind of acknowledged that it was a bad idea to do so, and it has withdrawn those ads. But the mentality remains. So remember, I'll confess to you, I take Uber from time to time. I have used Airbnb, although I will tell you this, I had a bad experience with Airbnb and was never compensated for it. I paid to rent a place that had fleas, and I was covered with flea bites the next day. In a hotel, I could have gotten compensation of some kind. I got none, and I still have marks 4 months later on my arms from the flea bites. For all I know, they're permanent. So you don't have. I had an Uber guy, an Uber driver, slam a trunk accidentally on my arm while I was putting a package in there. That hurt for a few days, although I'm told they do have a good complaint process. But the point is this: when your business model is to evade taxes whenever you can, to break regulatory rules whenever you can, rather than improving them and making them work for everyone, to get a monopoly market whenever you can so that there is no price competition for your services, and so that anyone who's frustrated about quality has nowhere to go and no alternative. The bottom line is, you don't believe in the American system. You don't believe in true free enterprise. You don't believe that anybody who has a good idea should be able to start a business. You don't believe in competition, and you don't believe in keeping the public safe through rational and reasonable and fair regulation. So people like us will keep on resisting that kind of business model, no matter how cute your advertisements are. I'm Richard RJ Eskow, and this is The Zero Hour.